name is Claire.
My name is Tyler.
And we're here today to talk to you about the INTP personality type.
I am an INTP personality type.
Correct. That means he's using the cognitive functions in the order of introverted thinking, extroverted intuition, introverted sensing, and then extroverted feeling.
And with all four, they make the INTP personality type. Sorry about the burp there, folks.
It's a good depiction of the INTP personality type. So, what goes on in your brain, basically on a daily basis, as an INTP?
Not much.
Like,
it's usually
the way
pretty
that you make
empty. I
decisions.
pay a lot of attention to everything that's going on around me. I spend a lot of time talking to people, and I use my heart all the time. And I also have to plan everything out. That's who I am as an INTP. Isn't that right, Claire?
It's the complete opposite of what...
Oh, really?
Yep.
Actually, you're right. Correcto mundo. So,
Yep.
I am an introvert. I am intuitive. I like to think a lot. Too much. And I don't like planning anything out at all. So, usually
Takes
what goes
things as
on...
he goes.
Yeah. Usually what goes on a daily basis is I like to watch and learn about a lot of things. Like I like to watch YouTube videos and I like to read. And I have a tendency to know a lot about stuff that doesn't matter. And then I worry about it. I worry about that stuff that doesn't matter pretty consistently. But that's who I am.
NP personality types can definitely be very anxious about things, and I think we kind of, I'm not an INTP, I'm an INFP, but I definitely get how you have things that you learn about that you worry about because you're like, well, I have this information now, what I need to do something about this.
Yeah, like I feel the need to apply it to stuff all the time. Like, it's been very, very hard to like figure out like what I want to do with my life, like career-wise, because of the fact that like I like a lot of things, and it can be a good thing in life, but like a bad thing when it comes to like employment and
settling
stuff.
into one thing. But I think that's part of your personality is like not settling into one thing, and I think you definitely have the drive to make things happen. It's just about
understanding how to do it and getting myself to get things done.
Yeah.
Applying more J qualities, I guess.
Right, because he has all these ideas in his head, and then it's about, okay, well, we need to, instead of moving on to the next one, we need to finish this one. But it's hard when you are just able to see so many issues around the world, or so many things that you feel that you could fix, or things that you could learn about.
I have a really, really hard time with where if I see something wrong with something, I automatically assume that whatever system is set up for that is broken entirely. And so, and if it's not fixed right then and there, there's like some weird like corruption conspiracy theory thing going on, even though usually there probably isn't. It's just somebody doesn't want to do something to fix something. And like that's a part of life, but not a part of the INTP life.
So, obviously, being introverted, how do you think that plays into your personality when you're in public?
When I'm in public, I have a tendency to not really talk to people unless like I know them, or I guess the reason why is because like I get worried that like if I talk to somebody and like overwhelm them with like information, it's gonna like freak them out, and then there will be like kind of like a weird stigma, I guess, to that. Like, I don't know, certain people like small talk. I don't really like small talk at all. It drives me insane. And so then what I usually will end up doing is I spend a lot of my time like learning about things because of that, instead of like associating with people.
I think the intuitiveness of INTP, you often see them just reading and very much not in the moment with their surroundings, unless, like he said, he's with like people he's really close to who he feels he can be his complete self with without judgment.
Yeah, I zone out a lot. Something that's usually like pretty persistent. Like, people ask me like, what are you thinking about? And honestly, there's times where like I don't even know what I'm thinking about. Like, I'll just be like looking at something. Like, I've had a lot of weird moments at like work, or even just in like regular life, where like I'll like zone out, and then all of a sudden I feel like I'm like seeing like all the atoms and stuff everywhere, and like how everything is like super micro, and it'll kind of like freak me out a little bit. Or like I'll look at something, and I have a tendency just to like, once I start to learn about something, I can become a little bit like obsessed with learning as much as I can about it. Like, I'm in a chemistry class where I'm like learning about a bunch of different things, and it's just interesting how you don't really, like, when you learn about this stuff when you're younger, you don't really like pay super close attention to it, and you kind of just kind of like push it to the back of your brain. But like when you actually think about it, it's just kind of like, whoa, like everything's super crazy. And I mean, even that's kind of, I'm also taking an art history class just because I have to take an elective, and it's super interesting too, because it's like, I've always taken in a lot of information with like everything. Like, I used to be like really, really into documentaries and like watching stuff about like ancient Egypt, and like learning about like the Romans and like Greece and all these different things. And then I take a class with these people who like don't necessarily like understand the ins and outs of everything. And for me, it like confuses me, because that's what I spend most of my time doing. And so sometimes it'll be hard to like separate, you know, like if I think that somebody's just being stupid, or like if somebody like genuinely doesn't understand something, that can be really hard for INTPs.
Yeah, it's
because like if somebody like doesn't understand something, then like I have a tendency to like want to teach them, or like tell them about it, or explain stuff, versus like people who are like kind of like being ignorant, where they just like don't want to like learn about anything, or they're like, oh, all this is pointless information, how is this going to apply to anything? Like, for me, that can kind of drive me up a wall a little bit, just because like there's different things that interest different people, and so it's always important to like remember that. And that's kind of one of the nice things about being an INTP too, is like if I can open up a conversation with somebody, I can usually like, I have some sort of prior knowledge, or like I've learned about something before that I can like relate to that conversation, so that I can relate with a person. I know that sounds really weird and very socially awkward, but like that's usually what I like to do. Like, I like other people to initiate conversations, or if they're like wearing something or talking about something with somebody else, then I can kind of join in on the conversation instead of like starting a brand new conversation.
Yeah. You like to go off of what you know and build information into using your intuition.
Yeah, I mean, not only just like building information, but like you can kind of like build relationships with people and find like common interests and stuff, and kind of like how that works. Like, a lot of my friends that I make, I have different things that like different, I guess, like building blocks for like what form that friendship.
Yeah.
Like, themes, I guess.
INTPs tend to be friends with all sorts of different people and for different reasons, rather than having like one specific, like rather than having a friend group that's like, for instance, an ESTJ's friend group might be like their team that they're on, whereas INTPs.
Yeah, like I've always had friends from like everywhere, and like I've never really been like a specific kind of person, I guess. Like categorizing people and stuff can be kind of weird for me, but like because of the fact that like my personality likes to kind of find like patterns and stuff and everything,
and understanding that we're all human.
Yeah.
Trying to you definitely believe in people in the sense that you're like, well, if I can learn about this, anyone can learn about this.
Yeah. And like understanding.
Everyone has the capacity to help, and
I don't know. It's kind of one of those things too, where it's like once you kind of like look at things from like a different perspective, like for instance, I was super interested in simulation theory for a long time, and how like everything is just a simulation, and it kind of like opened my eyes a little bit with like how people are, and like how I guess like DNA and stuff like affects the Myers-Briggs as well, and like how these different things, these different like outside factors affect who we are as people, and which kind of like turns everything into a building block, and the fact that everything's made up from something. You're a good boy, Elvis.
Oh. But anyway, yeah, I think that's a good
He's such a star.
description of the. He really is.
He just wants the camera.
He wants the lights.
His name,
He wants the fame, and he wants the lights. Look at him. The cutest boy.
His name did used to be Leo, so perhaps he just loves the limelight.
And there's Lady Glitter Sparkles. She's a good goyle.
She is a good girl. Yeah.
That concludes everything.
That's really a good depiction of INTP. If anyone feels they related to Tyler, or maybe things that they experience differently as an INTP, feel free to leave us some comments. Let us know. We're very interested to get to know you and help everyone understand each other.
Because let's be real, INTPs usually don't talk to other INTPs.
Yeah, and
because they're INTPs.
Yeah, but it's so important for people with such
similar mindsets to be able to
such expansive mindsets. You're able to think of so many things. For you to be able to communicate with each other, there's a lot of good that can happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Gucci.